Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is September 8th, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 152 of me answering your immigration related questions. As always, I'm gonna mention, as I mentioned in every video, I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information provided in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS, and of course the Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first comment from Masood Khan 3287. Masood, thank you very much for another comment. Always appreciate your comments. So Masood says, always appreciate your hard work, brother. Thank you, I appreciate it. Masood, means a lot. I already asked you the question again. I am asking. My case is IR5. Priority date is June 2021 and documentarily qualified in September 2022, so the whole year. Still waiting for interview. What you advise after documentarily qualified is almost 1 year. Is there any other way? Please advise. Regards, Masood Khan. Masood, so at this point, your case is definitely already at the U.S. Embassy in the country where you're supposed to be going through the interview, you know, your country. And really, at this point, you are just waiting. I'm certain that the interview was already scheduled. The interview is already scheduled for you. There is already a date because it's been a whole year. It's just you don't know the date yet because you can only know the date of the interview 30 days before the date the interview was scheduled. So the reason why I know it's ridiculous. It's unnecessary. You know, honestly, it would be so much better if people could simply know. And I really hope this changes come in effect, because they are actually planning, Department of Homeland Security are planning to eventually extend instead of 30 days to 6 months. And that is specifically, that duration, that time frame is specifically for the medical examination. Right now it is 30 days. So they notify you of the interview and then you have 30 days before the date of the interview to do the medical examination. If it is extended to 6 months, it means you will have 6 months to do the medical examination. But the best part about it is that you will know 6 months in advance that your interview is already scheduled, you know, and it's the same thing. The date is still there. It doesn't change, but just knowing and not being in the dark that it was scheduled 6 months ahead, it's much better than just sitting and not knowing what's going on. Like in your situation, you've been waiting for a whole year and you still do not know. At this point, there is really not much you can do. There's only a few things that you can do. It's one, I'm pointing to one, you can reach out to the U.S. Embassy in the country where you are, the U.S. Embassy that is going to be, you know, where you're going to be doing your interview. You can reach out, you can call them, and you can say, hey, you know, I'm in immediate relative category. A year ago, I've been already documentarily qualified, and I just wanted to see when my interview was scheduled for. That's it. Just be nice, be professional, don't be demanding, obviously, because they can provide that information, but it's their courtesy, right? They don't have to, and a lot of times they don't. They say we can't give you that information, but it is unofficial. It's unofficial information because officially they can't give you that date because you have to have 30 days to do the medical examination, if that makes sense. But in some situations, I know cases where people called and U.S. Embassy was able to tell them, oh yeah, your interview is scheduled, you know, you've been waiting for a whole year, let's say for, you know, November 15th, 2023, your interview is scheduled, which means that you will only get your interview notice, official interview notice, on October 15th or around that time of 2023, because 30 days. And the other thing you can do is you can reach out to the NVC, submit a public inquiry, but honestly it's really not going to do much at all because most likely they'll just respond with a boilerplate response and say, hey, you know, we're just waiting. You know, administrative processing, you know, just keep waiting, just be patient, really, most of the times. So the best shot that right now that you can do is reach out to the U.S. Embassy. Just please make sure that you're polite, professional, and if they don't give you that information, that's fine. You know, just say, okay, that's not a problem at all. I just wanted to see if I can, you know, potentially maybe get some answers, but that's fine. And you can find the U.S. Embassy information at embassy.gov. This is the website for everyone who's watching this video, and I'll post it in my response in the comment. It gives you the list of all the embassies around the world by country. So you just click on your country. Let's say, for example, Croatia, and there you go, embassy in Zagreb, and there you go. This is their phone number, and you just call them up and ask them. Again, keep in mind it is at their courtesy whether they want to provide the answers or not. So let me post the response here, and Masood, please, once you do get your interview scheduled, please come back to this channel and let everyone know that your interview was scheduled, because it's really good, it's really refreshing to hear that, you know, things are moving along. You know, it's great to hear the questions, but it's really, really nice to hear these questions being resolved, you know, so please do come back. Okay, let's move on to the next, from Denise to Ford. Denise, thank you for another comment. Always appreciate it. As you can see, this icon right here means Denise is one of the top commenters on this channel. So Denise says, hi sir, I'm almost becoming documentarily qualified. What's next after becoming documentarily qualified? Priority date is March 2017. Visa class is F11, so that's the subcategory F1, which is sons and daughters who are over 21 of US citizens. Denise, congratulations on becoming, I don't know exactly which stage of documentary qualification you are. I'm assuming your portal is already open and you are, you know, paying the fees, submitting the documents, submitting the financial documents to establish the sponsorship by the petitioner that they're a capable sponsor. So I'm glad it's going well. Once you're documentarily qualified, that's really it. That's it. I would say the hard part, although to me, honestly, the hard part was medical examination, because I don't do doctors very well. I don't do that stuff with all these vaccines and all of that. I'm not good with that. So that was hard for me. But most people are, you know, they don't care about stuff like this, and for them the hardest part is just get through that documentary qualification. And at that point, really, you're just waiting for the interview to be scheduled. You're receiving the official notice of the interview. If you're receiving stuff through email right now, you will receive it through email as well, and it will come in from NVC as well, and it will say, hey, the US Embassy in your country have scheduled your interview, that this is the date. And most of the cases is going to be around 30 days before the actual interview, and they will say, hey, there you go, this is the time that you have right now, the roughly 30 days to get your medical examination done. So you will have to find the civil surgeon, basically the authorized physician by the Department of Homeland Security in the country where you are, and they have like their own clinic sometimes, or just physicians that provide these services, that provide these medical examinations. And then you would go, you would do the, you know, the vaccinations, the whole bunch of stuff, medical. And then once it's done, you'll get some forms from the physician. In some situations, they give you the form and you take it to the interview. In most of the cases, whenever it comes to family reunification cases like this, where the beneficiary is outside of the United States, in most of the situations, the physician sends the documents after the medical examination directly to the U.S. Embassy. That's why it's important to do as early the medical examination as possible, to make sure there is enough time for the documents to get from the physician to the U.S. Embassy. Because I actually seen a case where the documents were sent, but because the medical examination was done so close to the interview, when the person went for an interview, the consul, the interviewer, they said that we have not gotten your medical examination documents yet, so we have to reschedule the interview. So you don't want to be in a situation like this. So once you get your interview scheduled, as soon as possible, do the medical beforehand so that there is enough time. But that's really it, Denise, for the most part. And, you know, once you are done with your medical, you know, get all the same documents that you have provided for, you know, for your documentary qualification with NVC. Make sure you have these documents, and then if there were any significant updates along the way, make sure you have it in a separate folder so that you can present them during the interview. Then you go, you do your interview, you answer some basic questions, and you get your I-551 stamp. You come to the United States, I-551 converts to the temporary permanent residence card, and then from then on, that's it. You're a permanent resident. So hopefully I was able to answer your question. But you're always welcome to come back and ask questions on this channel. Okay, let's move on to the next. From Tinka Hump 930. Honorable, I'm definitely not honorable. Please just, sir, how can we contact you? So Tinka, unfortunately, the only way to contact me is through comments on this channel, because I don't provide any services, because I'm not any kind of attorney or immigration practitioner, any kind of consultation services. I don't provide. This is not a legal advice. This is really just from one immigrant to another immigrant, basically. That's really all it is. I use the official sources. I don't use any kind of forms or anything like this. So if you have any kind of questions, make sure to obviously not put any personal information, like social security, like sensitive personal information, right, in your comments. But describe your situation, describe your case, describe what you need help with, and I will do my best in order to help you out with this, like this, through this Q&A videos that I'm making, hopefully, to the best of my abilities, obviously. So I'm gonna put the answer, and hopefully you can come back. Just make sure for everyone who's posting follow-up questions, and if you have any follow-up questions, don't post them under my comment within your comment, because YouTube does not send me those notifications. Submit them as a separate comment on any of the videos on this channel, and it will show up here on this wall in front of me. Okay, moving further to Latifa Molik 566, F2A, family preference category, priority date 2017 November, documentarily qualified 2020 August, when interview. All right, Latifa, so congratulations on being documentarily qualified. That's always great news. Yeah, I mean, you're done with the hard stuff, really. You're just waiting for the interview. So let's take a look at the F2A, see what's going on. We're going to be looking at the graph A of the visa bulletin, because graph A is showing us the final action dates, basically when the immigrant visa is becoming available. Graph B shows us when the NVC portal is opening up. Graph A is showing us when the immigrant visa is available. So F2A, we are looking right now for all chargeability area. Latifa, if you're from one of these 4 countries, China, India, Mexico, Philippines, then obviously you're looking at the corresponding columns here. But for the purpose of this answer, because I don't know which country you're from, I'll look at the all chargeability. This is the rest of the world. So right now it's showing January 1st, 2018. And your priority date is 2017 November. So you are literally, wow, you are like, let's see, my math is horrible, so I'll do my November, let's count November, December, and then January. So you're like 2-3 months away from your priority date becoming current. That is as long as the F2A keeps on moving 1 month at a time each month, which that's what it should do in the best case scenario. Well, honestly, in the best case scenario, it moves faster and catches up with the backlog, but a lot of times that's not the case. As a lot of times we were just see no movement at all, unfortunately. So I would definitely recommend coming back to this channel in probably, I would say, like 5 days, maybe a week, because in the next week max the brand new visa bulletin should be coming up for October 2023, and we will see the movement hopefully on F2A and the rest of the categories. I always hope for the movement on all of the categories, honestly. So we will see what's going on for F2A. And yeah, I mean, roughly 2-3 months you are waiting for the availability of the immigrant visa. Keep in mind that once your immigrant visa is available, you still have some time to wait for the interview to be scheduled. So there is some administrative processing that needs to happen between the NVC and the US Embassy in your country. So you might be looking potentially at another, as much as 6 months, possibly a year to actually get that interview scheduled. Depending on how long of a wait there is at the local US Embassy. Now we're talking like local situation, which is obviously different for each country. But knowing that your immigrant visa is available and you're just waiting for an interview, obviously, it's much nicer. And you're just a few months away from it, according to what we have right now. But like I said, please do come back to this channel in the next week. Hopefully, we will have the brand new visa bulletin. And once it comes out, I make a separate video on a brand new visa bulletin each month, where I compare it to the previous months, and you can see actually the movement that happened, or didn't happen for that matter. Hopefully it does. Okay, let's move on to the next question from user or 7ZY. Sorry, unfortunately YouTube decided to no longer show the names, but instead show the handles. I don't know why, it was a silly idea, but now I see the handles, so I can't read the names, unfortunately. So the user or 7ZY says, please may you talk about change of status B1, B2 to F1 through premium processing. If possible, may you give a step-by-step tutorial, please? Okay, thank you very much for the request. I actually do have the, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly the example that I'm using there, is from the B1, B2 to F1, because honestly, that's probably one of the most straightforward status changes that you can do. But the video is called I-539 form, how to fill it out, and it is uploaded step by step. It's uploaded to this channel. I'm pretty sure it is updated, but I will check if there was any updates, and I will make updated one if there were any updates. But if there were any updates, it's most of the times it's very small updates, and really they don't make a lot of difference in most of the cases, but sometimes it's pretty significant difference. So I try to maintain updated information on this channel. But you're working with the I-539. I'm gonna find this form right now. This is the official government website for US Citizenship and Immigration Services, uscis.gov. You can find that link in the description below. This is what the front page looks like. So you would go to forms, and don't worry, you don't have to do all of this. I use it for demonstration purposes on how easy it is to navigate, but I will put the link for the form in my response. And then you click on all forms right here. And then we can either scroll down, it's an alphabetical numerical order, or you can just type in 539. And there you go. It is available to file online, which I highly recommend doing. Makes it much easier. But this is it. On this page, you can obviously start your online application, which I would recommend, highly recommend doing. It makes it much easier and much faster. You can find the form itself if you want to preview the form I-539, how it looks. You can find the instructions, the supplements if you are, in your situation, it doesn't sound like you need to do that. It's just you're applying for yourself, so you can submit it online. You can verify the edition date, the filing fee, where to file, which you don't have to worry about if you're filing it online. So pretty straightforward. On this page you can find all the answers, and then you can use the video that I've made on this channel to kind of go step by step along the way if you have any questions. And if you do have any questions, you can always come back to this channel, ask them in the comments below, and I will be happy to address it in one of these Q&A videos. So I'm gonna post the link here, I-539. There you go. And like I said, from B1 to F1, it's probably one of the most straightforward status changes, because really all you're doing is you are presenting the documents from the school showing that you were accepted in a school, in some kind of program, and you are now, a student. You have your I-20, I think that's what it is, the form that shows that you are a student. You show your CVs and all of that, the fees that you have to pay in order to kind of maintain that student status, and that's really it. Okay, so let's move on to the next question, comment from Simone Williams. Simone, thank you very much for another comment. As you can see, this icon, Simone is one of the top commenters on this channel. So Simone says, hi, it's been a while since my late text. My priority date is June 26, 2017 for F1, first preference, family preference category. And as I always say, I'll let you be aware when I stated my visa process well. I have paid the fee, awesome, and it's updated to paid. So now waiting on NVC to ask for any documents they require. Hope you are doing well too. Simone, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So the only comment I have about your comment is that if If the portal is open to pay the fees, most likely it is open to submit the documents as well. So I would recommend logging into the NVC once again and just going through the whole portal and seeing if there are any additional steps that are already open to you, just to be on the safe side. Because like I said, if you have paid the fees, and most likely you have paid the fee for affidavit of support, which means you have already submitted it, and also you paid the fee for the DS-260, which also means that you have submitted it, which is good. The only other things that are left are the civil documents that basically, establish your relationship. It's pretty much the same documents that you have submitted to the USAS that establish the relationship between the beneficiary and the petitioner. And the important ones, the new ones that you have not submitted to the USCIS, that would be the financial documents that establish the petitioner as a successful sponsor, basically, that show that the petitioner is a capable sponsor. So that would be probably like the most important stuff, and that would be the tax returns or tax transcripts, W-2s, 1099s from the petitioner to show that they make enough income to be able to be eligible. To be the sponsor for the beneficiary. But, I am glad that everything is moving along. It's always great to hear that stuff is moving along. Come back once there is some more movement, once you are done with the submitting all the documents, and hopefully you will become documentarily qualified in no time. And from then on, just waiting for that interview. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Aris Anches. Hopefully I'm pronouncing the name correctly. I'm very sorry again because the handles, it's really hard for me to do now. Thank you for your helpful info. You're very welcome. I have a question. I have a petition waiting for interview scheduled in Manila. We've been waiting anxiously for more than 2 years for an interview. Wow. We've been receiving email from NVC every 60 days, but last month we did not get one. Can you give us any info on why they stopped sending email? I did make an inquiry. Wow, Aris, I think it's Aris Sanchez. That would make sense, Aris. So Aris, I'm very sorry you're dealing with this. Honestly, 2 years is the longest I've heard so far of people waiting after being documentarily qualified for their interview. I'm assuming Manila, my geography is horrible, so I'm very sorry. I'm assuming Manila is in a country where it takes a long time, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of immigration traffic going through the U.S. Embassy. That's why, that's the only thing that could explain you waiting for so long. Now, since you already made an inquiry, I don't know if you contacted NVC or if you sent some kind of email correspondence maybe or mail correspondence to the U.S. Embassy, but like I mentioned earlier to Masood, in the very first comment, the only other thing that you can do if you haven't done that already is you can reach out by the phone directly to the U.S. Embassy in Manila and say, hey guys, I'm documentarily qualified, this is my category, whatever, my immigrant visa is already available. And that's another thing that you should kind of take a look at, is the availability of your immigrant visa. Because in some situations, it doesn't happen that often, because most of the times NVC tries to documentarily qualify people closer to the availability of the immigrant visa, so that once you are documentarily qualified, your immigrant visa is already available and you're just waiting for the interview to be scheduled. But in some situations, you become documentarily qualified way before your immigrant visa is available. It's not available yet, but you are already documentarily qualified. So now you are waiting for the immigrant visa to become available, and then you are waiting for the interview to be scheduled, and that of course adds quite some additional time on top of it. So Aris, if you know for sure that your immigrant visa is available, reach out by phone to the U.S. Embassy and say, hey guys, my immigrant visa is available. I wanted to see when my interview was scheduled for. If you can provide that information, great. If not, that's fine, but I want to see if you could provide that information. That would be really nice. If they don't be too upset, because, it's at their discretion, if they want to provide that information or not. But what else? Another thing that you can do to make sure that you are definitely your immigrant visa is already available is let me know. Come back to this channel and let me know. Don't respond to my comment within your comment. Separate comment. Let me know your chargeability area. Let me know your priority date, and let me know your family preference category. And I'm going to take a look at the visa bulletin, and we will see about the availability of your immigrant visa. That's the only thing that I could. That's the only couple of things that I could let you know right now. So let me post my response here, and we're going to move on to Alpha and Omega. I don't know what the semper's for, but Alpha and Omega. Amen for that. Thank you. Great help. Thank you very much for a kind comment. I appreciate it. I'm glad this was helpful. Moving further to Sultan GTX. So my question here, my notice said the receiving date is January 26th, but the notice date is June 26th. Wow, it's weird. Should I start the 150 days count from January 26th or June 26th? Sultan, thank you so much for the question. I really appreciate that. The reason why I say it's weird is because it's quite a long difference between the receiving date and the notice date. So normally we look at the receipt date, all right? And the receipt date is the receiving date, is when they receive the application. Because when they receive the application is when they accept that application. Because if they wouldn't have accepted the application, they wouldn't give you the receipt. They would send it back to you and say, sorry, we cannot accept it because there's a mistake, because there's this missing, because whatever. But they did accept it, and they give you the receival date on the receipt, which is January 26th. So I would say you are pretty safe. You're pretty safe to use the receiving date, which is January 26th, to count your EAD clock and submit the application for the employment authorization based on January 26th. It's weird that there is such a huge distance between the two. I'm thinking maybe it's some kind of typographic error. So if you submitted your application back in like December or November of 2022, then January 26th definitely. June 26th, 2023, it just don't make sense. I think it might be some typographic error, and instead of putting January 26th, they put June 26th on the notice date. Because it's a little weird. It's like 6 months, between them receiving it and then sending you receipt 6 months later. It just don't make no sense. But if you did send your application for asylum like in, I don't know, March or May of 2023, and you got your notice, with June 26th, then obviously January 26th doesn't make any sense, and you shouldn't be looking at it now. It's definitely June 26th because you haven't even applied back in January 26th, if that makes sense. So go from there. I am thinking one of these dates might be mistakes. I don't know, might have been a situation where they couldn't have reviewed your application and they only sent you receipt in June 26th, 6 months later after the receiving. But still, even if it is the case, still they received it on January 26th. So your clock should have started on January 26th. So Sultan, good luck with your application for the employment authorization. Hopefully it goes well. Honestly, I heard a lot of stories where you send your application for the employment authorization based on 150 days clock, and it's been like 6 months, it's been like a year, and they denied and they say, oh, your 150 days haven't passed yet. I've seen those cases, so don't be surprised. But on the plus side, as far as the last time I checked, if you're applying based on asylum, your initial application for the employment authorization document is free. So you're just spending time basically, but you're not spending money, which is really nice. So if you're ready to fill it out, go ahead. Okay, let's move on to the next comment, probably the last one for today, from Slima5829. Hello, can you give me a tip? I'm filing my I-539 form to change of status today. My B2 status is valid until November 11. Okay, so until November, so you still have it, that's good, good. My study program starts on October 20. Okay, so you're changing it to F1, I'm assuming. What is my effective date of change of status? About B2 or about my studies program start date? Okay, great question. Thank you very much for asking. So yes, in your situation, no, you don't have to put the last ending date of the B2. Your effective date of change of status would be the date when you officially become a student, because that's what it sounds like you're becoming, because you're saying it's a study program. So once you're enrolled in the university, once you get that I-20, I think that's right. It's been a while since I dealt with the whole student stuff, but I'm pretty sure it is I-20. The date on the I-20, that is the change of status date, and not the change of status, but the effective of the new status, because now you're no longer B1, B2, you're no longer visitor, now you're a student, okay? And I'm pretty sure in your situation it is before the expiration of your current status, which is November. So it sounds like you already got your student stuff sorted out. Yes, actually you did say it's in October 20, which is great because it is before November 11. So that's great. And you're filing it on time, you're filing all your documentation on time. It will take some time before your application is reviewed and approved, and I don't think there's going to be any problems with the approvals. Most of the times, I-539s, they are approved. It's just, you do have to wait, like right now, I think it's like close to a year that you have to wait for the approval of your I-539, which it's a little bit of inconvenience, but at the same time, you have all your documents in order, everything is square. There was no time in your duration of stay where you were out of status, and that's the most important part. As long as you maintain a legal status, I said a legal status, not illegal. As long as you maintain legal status, then you're good. Because I actually seen a case where a person, he was on B1, B2 visa, and then he did get enrolled to the university, but there was literally like a week in between where his B1, B2 ended. It expired, his duration of stay expired, and for a week he was out of status, and then he got enrolled, and then interestingly his change of status was approved. Because honestly, when you're out of status, you are risking to get a denial, because they are like, hey, why didn't you do that earlier? But he had his approved, his status was approved, change of status. But he still had problems along the way when he was going through his immigration process, because it all came back up, and they were like, when he was getting his permanent residence, the USAS were like, hey, you've been for a week out of status. And they gave him problem. They gave him some problem. It resolved eventually, because he was like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize, I didn't. But still, in your situation, you're doing everything good, so that's good. But thank you everyone for tuning in. As always, hopefully my answers were helpful to you. Like I said, if you do have any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to ask them. Just make sure don't ask them under my comment, within your comment, because I'm not gonna get those. YouTube does not send me those notifications for whatever reason. So just post them as a separate comment, and it will show up here on my wall. As always, thank you for your time. God bless, and I will see you all in the next video.